Hi AP, today we're going to take some time and answer the 16 questions involving part writing error detection. So take a look at this harmonic progression very carefully and see if you can fill in the blanks. And then we'll go over our answers together. Okay, AP, it's time to check our work to see how you did. Number 1, what is the error from chord 1 to 2? Hopefully you said parallel octaves, and we'll point them out right here. That would be between the bass and the soprano, the A's to the G's. So over here you would write soprano and bass, or bass and soprano, doesn't really matter. Moving on, number 2, what is the error in chord 3? Here's chord 3, and hopefully you realized that it's an incomplete chord. There is no third. If you look carefully, we have a root, and 2/5. Number 3, what is the error from chord 3 to 4? The error is parallel fifths, and it happens between the soprano and the bass. You have an E to a B and an F to a C. Parallel fifths are forbidden. Number 4, what is the error from chord 5 to 6? Well, here we have parallel unisons. And the voice parts would be tenor and alto. So let's find that right now. Right there and right there. Parallel unisons. C4 to D4. Number 5, what is the error from chord 6 to 7? Voice overlap. It happens with the alto and the soprano. And let's point that out. Here the altos go from the D to a B and overlap the soprano's previous note of a G. Number 6, what is the error in chord 7? That's a spacing issue that involves the tenor and the alto. Because right here exceeds an octave, and that is forbidden. Number 7, what is the error from chord 7 to 8? Parallel fifths. That can be found between the bass and the alto. E to B and C to G. That is forbidden. Number 8, what is the error from chord 8 to 9? Again, you have a case of the parallel fifths. Also associated with the bass and the alto. And let me change my color here. From chord 8 to 9, you have a C to a G, and then you have an A to an E. Parallel fifths are forbidden. Number 9, what is the error in chord 9? Here's chord 9. Root, fifth, fifth. That's an incomplete chord. There is no third. Let's change colors again. Going with green. What is the error number 10 from chord 9 to 10? I see parallel fifths between the tenor and the alto voices. A to E, B to F sharp, parallel fifths. That is forbidden. Number 11. What is the error from chord 10 to 11? Parallel octaves between the bass and the soprano. Soprano, D to C, bass, C, D to C. Parallel octaves are forbidden. Number 12. What is the error in chord 12? Here's chord 12. The error is voice crossing between the tenor and the alto. Notice right here that the tenor is singing an E4 and the alto is singing a C4. Tenors cannot go above the alto. That's called voice crossing, and that is forbidden. Number 13. What is the error in chord 13? Again, we have voice crossing that involves the same two voices, the tenor and the alto. Here's chord 13, and notice that the tenor is singing a note much higher than the alto. The voices have crossed. That's forbidden. Number 14. What is the error from chord 12 to 13? Parallel fifths associated with the bass and the tenor voices. A to E, B to F sharp. Parallel fifths are forbidden. Number 15. What is the error in chord 14? The error is voice crossing associated with the tenor and the alto. Here's chord 14. And the tenors are singing a note that's higher than the alto. They're singing actually the same note as the sopranos. So that's voice crossing, and that is forbidden. Question 16. What is the error from chord 14 to 15? Parallel octaves between the alto and the bass voices. Here's alto, E to A. Here's bass, E to A. Parallel octaves are forbidden. Okay, I'm going to add a question 17 for you to try it and find out right now. Question 17. What is the error in chord 15? Right here, the last chord. Can you find the error? And with what voices? Chord 15 has voice crossing, again between the alto and the tenor. And there's actually another error in chord 15. Can you find the other error in chord 15 besides voice crossing? Well, it appears as if we have an incomplete chord because there's a missing third. There's the root, there's the fifth, there's the root, and there's the root. So hopefully you did well as a part writing error detection detective. Okay, AP, we have some more examples of common part writing errors. Do your best to try to find the error and between the voices. And I should caution you that not every one of these might necessarily have an error. Some might be good. Good luck. I'll give you some time. Okay, AP, it's time to check our work, and just so you know, there's an error in A, an error in B, an error in C, an error in D, but E is wonderfully written. Let's talk about E first. E is a great solution. Notice the smooth voice leading in all the upper voices. Also, notice that doubling the root, in this case, the B, is very easy, doesn't require any kind of special effort. So E is wonderful. Now let's go back to A. The mistake happens right here between the tenor and the bass, and that's the infamous parallel fifths. In B, the mistake also happens between the bass and the tenor, right here. And although it doesn't look like parallel fifths, it's called consecutive fifths or anti-parallel fifths. Anti-parallel fifths, which is also forbidden. And, you know, if we took the C and we moved it down the octave right to there, or if we took the F and moved it up to here, we're still dealing with parallel fifths. In this case, the way it's written, the technical term is anti-parallel fifths. And that happens between the bass and the tenor, so that is forbidden. Let's talk about C. This one might have been more difficult for you. Remember, we have a key signature here. We're in the key of B flat major. So if I analyze the chords in C, I'm dealing with a 5 to a 1. So I have an F, which is the fifth, or sol, let's say. There's T, the leading tone, the A. Then I have the tenors singing re, or C of the key of B flat. And then I have sol doubled right here, the root doubled. And the error is that the LT, or leading tone, is not properly resolved in the soprano. Because remember, in an outer voice, such as the soprano, T always goes to do, so it really should be written up there. It's okay for T to go to sol if it's an inner voice, like the alto or tenor. But in this case, T is sung by the soprano, which is A, and it should resolve upwards to B flat tonic, and it doesn't. Let's look at D. The error in D, we'll call it an incomplete chord, because the tonic triad, which is this, right, B flat, has no third. It has a root, a root, a root, and a fifth. So those are the errors here. Let's move on to some more. Here are some more, and remember, keep in mind that not all might have mistakes or errors. Some may be good. Good luck, AP. Okay, so here, F, great. G, great. H has an error. I has an error. And J is good. Let's talk about the good ones first. Why is F good? Well, look carefully. We're in the key of G major. So what I might want to do first is analyze. 5-1, 5-1, 5-1, 5-1, 5-5-1. That dominant triad is prolonged in the last measure. There's 2 5 chords before going to the 1 chord. So, why is F good? Well, there's a tripled root in the tonic triad. And I don't know if you can see that, but right here you have a root, and you have 2 roots right here. That's not unusual in a situation like this. It's generally acceptable to omit the fifth from a root position triad as long as there is a good reason. And in this case, there is a good reason, because the chance to resolve the alto's leading tone can happen, which is T to Do. Of course, you could consider having the altos go down to Sol, which would be the fifth of that tonic triad, because it is an inner voice and that could be acceptable. But it's okay in this case to omit the fifth and triple the root. You never want to omit the third of a chord, because that tells you the quality. Let's talk about G. Notice in G right here that we have an unresolved leading tone. Right here is the leading tone, F sharp. F sharp leading tone is a tendency tone, an active tone that wants to go and travel to Do or tonic. In this case, it's acceptable because it's in an inner voice, the alto. So that's why G is good. H. Well, let's talk about the other good one first, J. J is a great solution. Okay, the leading tone in the soprano, let's circle it right here, does not resolve to Do on the next chord. It can't, actually. It would be impossible because the dominant chord is repeated. But it eventually resolves to Do, which is the whole key. So J is a good solution. The leading tone in the soprano eventually resolves. It really sings T, then Re, and then finally ends on Do. So that is some smooth voice leading right there. Let's go back to H. The problem with H is that it's an incomplete chord. Hopefully you discovered that. What's it missing? It's missing the third. And we never want to miss the third of a chord because it does tell us the quality, right? It could be major or it could be minor. And right here we're talking about the missing third, because there's the root, there's the fifth, and there's two roots. Let's move on to I. The problem with I is that the LT, or leading tone, in the soprano is not resolved. Right here, if you have the leading tone in an outer voice like the soprano, it must go to Do. And in this case, it goes to Sol. So that's the mistake there. Let's try some more. Isn't this fun? Here is some more AP. Look at your key signature very carefully. 5 sharps, looks like B major. And notice that in L, they've told you that that is acceptable. But you need to figure out things and issues for K, M, N, O, and P. Good luck! Time to check our work. So the problem in K is voice crossing. What voices are crossing? Alto and tenor. Do you see it? Right here. L is acceptable because the voice crossing has actually been corrected by exchanging the inner voices. But there still isn't any obvious reason why the dominant is incomplete. Because here you have the root, and the root, and the third. So it is missing a fifth. But it is acceptable because you can omit the fifth occasionally. In M, this solution is preferable to the two previous chords before it because it uses complete chords. In other words, you have a doubled root, a third, and a fifth in both the 5-chord and the 1-chord in M. There is an error here in N, and that is voice overlap between the tenor and the bass. So the bass goes above the tenor's previous note, right here. The bass was singing an F sharp, and now the bass is singing a B, and the tenor is singing a B, and went above the tenor's previous note of an A. So that's voice overlap. Bass can't do that. This is a relatively minor mistake, but it should be avoided if possible because it is forbidden. Let's move to O. In O, this is acceptable. The overlap from the previous example is corrected, but notice that the tonic is incomplete for no apparent reason. Right here. Root, third. It is missing a fifth for no apparent reason, but again, it's okay because you can omit the fifth, but I would refer you back to M because M is the absolute best version of all of these 5-to-1 chords because it's a complete chord. And P. Well, in P, in this case, the tonic is also incomplete, but there's a good reason for it because you want to resolve the tenor's leading tone. Right here, the tenor is singing T, the A sharp, and it's going to Do. So you can go to Do or you can go to Sol as long as you follow your other rules and make sure nothing is broken. But there's a good reason why the tonic triad there is incomplete and you are missing a fifth because you have a tripled root, and that's perfectly acceptable. Let's try just one more batch. Okay, AP, since time is running out, I'm going to give you a big hint on the last batch here. All of them are good except for one. Can you find the one that's not? And identify the error in the voice parts. Good luck! Okay, AP, so Q is looking great. R is as well. S, fantastic. U, wonderful. And T is the culprit. The tenor and alto are too far apart on the second chord, right here. Exceeds an octave. And there you have it. So I hope this video helped you to realize some part writing error detection, and we won't make mistakes in the future. Have a great day, AP.